The tension in the studio that morning could have been cut with a knife. What began as a cheerful segment about Nicole Kidman's new film quickly spiraled into one of the most shocking on-air confrontations The View had ever seen. Nicole, radiant in a soft cream dress and her signature calm composure, sat poised at the center of the table, her words measured and thoughtful. But across from her, Joy Behar, never one to hold back, leaned forward with a spark of challenge in her eyes. "Nicole," Joy said, her tone sharp beneath the veneer of humor, "don't you think Hollywood types like you are a little out of touch when you talk about real women's struggles?" The audience gave a nervous laugh, unsure whether to clap or cringe. Nicole blinked, visibly taken aback, her smile faltering for the first time. "I'm sorry, Joy," she replied evenly, her voice cool but trembling with restraint. "But I don't think empathy for women's struggles should be limited to where one lives or how much one earns." Joy smirked, crossing her arms as the live audience shifted uneasily. "Oh, come on," she pressed. "It's easy to say that when you're living in a mansion, being paid millions to play pretend." The jab hung in the air like a storm cloud. Nicole's eyes darkened. The warmth that usually defined her interviews vanished. "You think acting is just playing pretend?" she asked quietly, but with unmistakable steel in her tone. "You have no idea the kind of emotional cost that comes with living inside someone else's pain. Sometimes it stays with you long after the cameras stop rolling." The audience went silent. Even Whoopi and Sunny exchanged wary glances. Joy laughed under her breath. "Please, Nicole," she said dismissively, "you're an actress, not a martyr." That was the moment the atmosphere broke. Nicole leaned forward, the camera catching the slight tremor in her hands as she set her mug down. "You know what, Joy?" she said, her voice rising. "I came here to talk about art, compassion, and connection, not to be mocked for what I do or who I am." Nicole's words hit the air like a thunderclap. The audience gasped, a ripple of unease spreading through the room. Joy Behar blinked, clearly not expecting Nicole to push back so forcefully. But instead of diffusing the tension, Joy smirked again, that trademark grin that had fueled 1,000 viral clips. "Oh, come on, Nicole," she said, laughing. "Don't be so sensitive. It's just a conversation." Her tone dripped with condescension, and that was the moment something inside Nicole snapped. She straightened in her chair, her blue eyes blazing under the studio lights. "No, Joy," she said, her voice trembling but steady. "This isn't a conversation. This is you taking cheap shots at people you don't understand." The audience erupted, some cheering, others audibly gasping. Whoopi raised her hand to step in, but Nicole kept going, her voice growing stronger. "You preach about empowering women, but the moment one doesn't fit your version of what a woman should be, you tear her down. That's not empowerment, that's hypocrisy." The words hung heavy in the studio, and for a moment even Joy seemed speechless. The camera cut briefly to the audience, where several women were nodding, their faces reflecting quiet approval. Joy tried to laugh it off, flipping her cue cards. "Oh, you're giving me a lecture now? Fine, Saint Nicole. Preach away." Nicole didn't flinch. "You can mock me all you want, but the truth is, women are tired of being told who they can be, especially by other women who claim to support them." Her voice echoed across the set, raw and powerful. A few people in the audience began to clap, hesitant at first, then louder, growing into a standing ovation. Joy looked visibly rattled, her usual composure cracking under the weight of the moment. Joy's expression hardened. Gone was the smug smile, replaced by a flash of indignation that lit her face red under the studio lights. She leaned forward, cutting through Nicole's applause. "Oh, give me a break," she snapped, her voice sharper than ever. "You sit here acting like you've got it all figured out, but you've spent your life in a bubble, Nicole. You don't know what real people go through. You play characters, you cry on cue, and then you think that gives you the right to preach to the rest of us?" The studio went dead silent. Nicole's jaw tightened, her hands clenching subtly in her lap. Hoda and Sarah exchanged worried glances from the other end of the table. They could feel this wasn't just a tense interview anymore. It was a collision of egos, raw and unscripted. Nicole took a deep breath, trying to steady her voice, but the fire in her eyes didn't fade. You know what, Joy? You're right. I am privileged. But that doesn't mean I don't listen. It doesn't mean I don't care. The difference between us is that I try to lift people up, not tear them down for ratings. The crowd gasped again, a low hum of shock filling the room. Joy slammed her cue cards on the table. Oh, please. You actors come on here pretending to be saints while lecturing everyone about kindness. Newsflash. You're not saving the world with your movies. Nicole blinked slowly, her calm now unsettling. And you're not saving it by tearing people apart on national TV. The words hit like a hammer. The audience murmured, unsure whether to clap or stay silent. Off camera, a producer frantically gestured toward the control booth, mouthing, "Cut to commercial." But Joy kept going, her voice rising. This is The View, not a therapy session. Nicole turned slightly toward the audience, her tone low but resolute. Then maybe it's time the show started listening instead of talking. The entire crowd erupted, some clapping, others shouting, as cameras panned wildly, trying to catch the chaos. Joy threw up her hands, muttering something off mic, and Whoopi quickly cut in, her voice strained but firm. We'll be right back. The screen abruptly faded to black. The moment the cameras cut, chaos exploded behind the scenes. Joy ripped off her earpiece, muttering curses as she stormed toward the dressing rooms. Nicole stood frozen for a heartbeat, still breathing hard, the adrenaline coursing through her like electricity. A producer hurried over, clipboard trembling in his hands. Nicole, please, just stay in the green room for a moment. We'll handle this, he stammered. But Nicole's composure cracked for the first time. Handle it? You just let her attack me on live television. I came here to talk about my film, not to be humiliated for having an opinion. Her voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the backstage noise like a knife. Down the hall, Joy's heels clicked like gunfire against the linoleum as she barked at a makeup assistant. I'm not apologizing. Not to her, not to anyone. She comes in here acting like she's Mother Teresa just because she cries in some sad movie? Please. Another producer tried to calm her, but Joy waved him off, fuming. You tell her if she can't take a little heat, she shouldn't come on The View. Meanwhile, Nicole sat down slowly in the corner of the green room, her stylist hovering awkwardly nearby. She stared at the floor, the sharp sting of humiliation giving way to something deeper, disappointment. She had known The View could get heated, but this was different. It wasn't a debate. It was personal. And for the first time, Nicole wondered if this kind of entertainment was even worth it anymore. Moments later, Whoopi entered the room quietly. Her tone was calm but weary. You handled yourself well, Nicole, she said softly, shutting the door behind her. Don't let it get to you. Joy, it'll blow over. Nicole looked up, her eyes steady. Maybe, but when women tear each other down on national TV, nobody wins. Whoopi nodded slowly, her face unreadable. Outside, the muffled sound of audience chatter returned as the show resumed, but the tension lingered, heavy, unspoken, and unforgettable.